and welcome. It's good to have you join us. It's another edition of NAFDAC and Your Health, where you get to know about the activities of NAFDAC, which is geared towards safeguarding the health of Nigerians. I am your host, Amanda Ugo. The main focus on this edition of NAFDAC and Your Health is herbal medicine. We shall be looking at the stance of NAFDAC on the use of herbal medicines, the major concern of NAFDAC about their use, and the efforts being made by NAFDAC to ensure that herbal medicines made available for purchase are safe for consumption, and of course, the processes and regulatory guidelines that herbal products have to pass through before they can get the approval of NAFDAC. Herbs and their derivatives have been known to provide cures for illnesses and diseases, particularly in Africa from time immemorial. But with the embrace of civilization and modernization, it is believed that orthodox medicines have taken over and herbal medicines are no longer reckoned with. There is also a strong notion that NAFDAC does not approve herbal medicines. Contrary to this, NAFDAC acknowledges that herbal medicines are quite efficacious and can be used for diverse curative purposes. What is important and of utmost concern to NAFDAC is that herbal medicines must pass through necessary laboratory and scientific tests to ascertain that they have been prepared with ingredients that are not harmful to the human body and in the right proportions too, and that they are safe to be consumed in the manner in which they have been presented for consumption.
Herbal medicines have been here forever. Our ancestors have used herbal medicine for ages. I was brought up on herbal medicines. I think the only medicine that I knew about that time was APC, acetaminophen, phenacetin, and caffeine in one. Otherwise, it's herbal medicine. Whether you want to do deworming, it's herbal medicine. Whether a woman wants to have easy labor, it's herbal medicine. Whether it is malaria, it's herbal medicine. So, our ancestors have used this forever. However, many people have died too because there isn't enough research on herbal medicine. You drink a cup of herbal medicine, you don't know what you are taking. NAFDAC is one of the few regulatory agencies that have structure for regulation of herbal medicines. We have listed, we have full approval. For a medicine, herbal medicine to get listed, of course, we have it on our website, what will be needed to submit. We are not asking for an arm and a leg at the beginning. They must demonstrate that this has been used before for a particular management of disease. They must know the name. They must know the family name and the filer and whatnot. They must have done some work on that herbal medicine in terms of toxicity, in terms of the ash content or some few phytochemistry. If they do not, we have our partner agency, NIPRID, that they can go to, or any other universities where they do herbal medicine research. But we have limited requirements for them, so long as it's not toxic. And what we do when they submit is we go through a lot of testing. The big one is toxicity test. If we find out that this herbal medicine doesn't have issues in terms of what we are looking for, we give a listed category or approval, meaning only for 2 years. Then they can reapply. However, most of our herbal medicines that we have approved are listed, because to get to the next step needs a lot of science and money. To get to the next step, they have to show. For example, if you say this can be used for management, of diabetes. You cannot say it can cure until you show us, or it can be used to treat, not cure, not just cure. To treat diabetes, you have to show us data that you gave X amount of dose to X number of subjects, and these are their A1C or sugar profile or whatever, in a structured manner. So for Herbal Medicine to move from listed to 5-year approval category, they have to demonstrate to us through evidence, scientific evidence, that they've given it, they have an experiment or clinical trial that is well structured, well designed, that X amount was given to X number of patients or subjects. You cannot give it to 5 people and 5 people are better, and you say you have done clinical trial.
Professor Mojisola Adeyeye substantiates the need to carry out further research on herbal medicine to clear doubts and promote the herbal products with her personal experience.
I will give an example of a medicine that I worked on before I got to NAFDAC. Sickle cell is for sickle cell treatment. I didn't know anything about the medicine until maybe 2002-3. I used to come home to take care of HIV/AIDS patients in Ogbomoso. And one of my partners there, a medical doctor, said, this your staff that has sickle cell, there's a concoction of a herbal medicine that is helping his own niece. I said, I will buy it for my niece. My niece that has been limping because of sickle cell disease, because it can cause necrosis of joints, destruction of cells around, the tissue rather. She was always ashen pale, meaning not really bright, dull appearance. She started it 2002, about 22 years ago. But it was about 12 years ago that I observed that this medicine cut down our episode by like 70 to 80%, because they go into crisis, sickness. I said, this thing must be working. I started doing research on it before my time in NAFDAC. The medicine is polyherbal. It has anti-inflammatory, anti-sickling, of course, and anti-infective, antibacterial. 3 in 1. For a sickler, instead of a rhomboid structure like this, it becomes like this. The erythrocytes get sickled. They become sickled like this. When you have a round figure, a round shape, when they are moving in the cells, in the vessels rather, blood vessels, they move faster, because they are just rolling around on themselves. But when they become sickled, they may start getting entangled, and they can cause inflammation. Once they get stuck along the walls, they can get, first of all, sickling, then inflammation. It can cause infection. That was why I started working on this medicine. I didn't know the person before. The only thing that the person gave me was the medicine. I never asked the person for a penny, because I'm more interested in this product to get to a point where it can be approved for 5 years. Right now, the product is sold, but it doesn't have a big name. The issue also is the raw materials. You have 3 plants in one. How well is the maintenance of the plantation for each of the plants? Is this seasonal? Meaning dry season you may not see it, dry wet season you see it, or what? So all these have to be taken care of too when you are dealing with herbal medicine. And the good thing about herbal medicine is the ground where the herbal medicine is planted determines what is inside the herbal medicine. So you have a herbal medicinal plant in Nigeria. You have another one in South America. Their constituents may be different. One of these plants in this polyherbal that I'm talking about, the one from South Africa doesn't have anticycline. The one from Nigeria has anticycline. How? Nigeria has the most cyclists in the world. I cannot understand that. But I know about one person, God. Because I cannot wrap my head around it. Why is it so different? And the disease is peculiar to where it is found. Bear in mind I said soil. So there are things we cannot explain. So I take a lot of interest in herbal medicine.
As a confirmation of her belief of NAFDAC in the efficacy of herbal medicines and the readiness of the agency to work with the practitioners of herbal medicines, the agency started the Herbal Medicine Products Committee.
That is the extent that NAFDAC has gone through in terms of herbal medicines. We need to work more on it. There is a town where they said that the level of diabetes is very, very low because of some food they eat. That is my hometown. We eat a lot of breadfruit, and they said that we have low diabetes prevalence. We have not done research on it. That's what people say.
NAFDAC and Your Health continues after the short break. Please stay with us.
NAFDAC has observed with dismay the wanton illegality of unlicensed vendors peddling drugs to unsuspecting members of the public, despite efforts aimed at tackling the menace of drug hawking. NAFDAC hereby advises the general public to desist from buying drugs from these merchants of death. Drugs sold by hawkers are fake, counterfeit, and substandard. The hawkers expose the drugs to inclement weather, which degrades their active ingredients since they are stored in conditions that render drugs poisonous. The drugs could therefore damage the liver and kidney or lead to the death of the consumer. Drug hawkers constitute threat to our national security. Hawking of drug is one of the main causes of drug abuse as victims continue to fetch drugs from unregistered and unregulated hawkers. Consequently, drug abusers soon succumb to the dilemma of depression, personality disorders, suicidal thoughts, mental disorder, sleep problems, organ failure, damaged immune system, memory loss, anxiety, social and economic problems. NAFDAC hereby warns those involved in the nefarious act of hawking drugs to desist from this illegal act or face the wrath of the law. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
Welcome back. You are still watching NAFDAC and Your Health.
The Drug Evaluation and Research Directorate is the directorate of NAFDAC that oversees everything that has to do with the regulation of herbal medicines. It is this directorate that carries out all activities that lead to the registration and approval of herbal medicines. The director in charge of the directorate, pharmacist Amuda Kayode, explains the process of registration that have to be fulfilled for a herbal medicine to get the approval of NAFDAC.
In the regulation of herbal medicine, there are two phases. The first phase is to get the product listed. Now, going through documentation and other registration processes, inspection of facilities, and laboratory evaluation of the product. After that, we give them a listing recognition, which is valid for only 2 years. Now, the challenges of our people, especially the practitioner, the core practitioner, is about understanding our processes. It's about understanding our requirements. So most of the time, there have been a sort of back and forth to really bring them to the level of understanding the requirements and properly implement it to meet the regulation. So the basic challenge we are having with them is understanding the requirements, and in addressing that, we have been trying to engage them through different fora where we try to enlighten them on our guidelines, on our requirements, what is required of them, how to do the labeling, how to submit the application. Because now we don't do paper submission again. That's another challenge they are having. So they have to, all our processes now are electronic. It's a huge challenge to them. They are not used to it. So, and most of the time, they run into the hands of consultants who continue to I don't want to use the word making them. So, but going further to address that, we have been engaging to interface directly with the practitioner so that they can be able to know the nitty-gritty of how to go about submitting the application, the documentation that is required, the processes that the application is going to take through, what is required of their facility, how to set it up, what are the quality of the equipment that we need, then, and eventual approval. We have made them to understand that listing is not the ultimate. We are just giving you a sort of recognition that this particular product cannot kill, is not toxic. Because basically what we test in the lab, in the laboratory analysis of our herbal medicine, is basically toxicology. We do microbiology, we do acute toxicity, we do hash value testing, we do pesticide residue testing, we do heavy metal. So you can see that all these speak to toxicity. We don't go into efficacy, even though this product has been in use for long, and that is what we are relying on for now, to say, yes, our forefathers has confirmed in the community that this particular formulation of herbal medicine does this, and this. We don't go into that. What we do subsequently after listing and the product has been marketed is to now come back. If you want to do a full registration of the product, you come back and allow the product to be subjected to clinical investigation. So when that is done, and at the end of the day is found satisfactory, then we do a full registration. We have had so many of herbal medicine now that has gone through the path and they have come out fine. So those ones have been given full registration status, not listing, which is valid for 5 years now.
Another area that is of concern to NAFDAC about herbal medicines is the standardization of the product, as well as the standardization of their production facilities and processes.
That has been a challenge since inception because there is no measure. You can say your own is 2 teaspoonfuls. I can say my own is 3 teaspoonfuls. So what is the measure? So we are really trying to collaborate with researchers how to come up standardized measure for herbal medicine. That's one. We are also working to see how we can standardize the manufacturing activities of production of herbal medicine, so that even though it's not going to be at a level of orthodox medicine, but they are going to be some basic requirements set out for herbal manufacturing facility to meet before we can say, okay, this is a facility that we can adopt or accept for production of herbal medicine. Another thing is that we are collaborating with all the sectoral groups, different groups from across the country that are collections of herbal practitioners. I think we have one in Lagos. We have them all over the place. We have them in Kano. We have them, and they are being recognized so that all of them can come into a fold, and then we can chart a new course for herbal medicine. We have been meeting with a National Herbal Medicine Practitioner Committee that is composed of different category of professional, both the practitioner, the researchers, the manufacturers. They make up different sub-committee in that bigger committee, and each of them have a focus for which they are working on to add value again to herbal medicine. So we are doing a lot to really add value to herbal medicine, because it is a potential for the future if well harnessed, and that is why the DG is not losing focus on herbal medicine regulation.
Also of note is how the herbal medicines are advertised and the claims made in the adverts. NAFDAC is also working on this as it is part of the agency's mandate to control advertisement of her regulated products.
We are trying to see what we can do to address the menace. And it still boils down to partly due to ignorance on the part of the practitioner. Some claim they don't know that they need to get approval from NAFDAC. Some that knew, they will not even advertise as approved. So it's a myriad of challenges. But in our engagement with them, we have been engaging them to tell them that, look, once your product is approved, that does not mean you should go ahead and advertise anything the way you want it. No. Advertisement of regulated product is also regulated. So, but we have been seeing a lot of improvements in that side, and they have been forthcoming, submitting their advert material for vetting, and we take it back to them that, look, remove this, remove that. You don't claim cure with herbal medicine until there is clinical investigation. And on that part, I want to chip in here that the management under the leadership of the DG NAFDAC is really working towards how to escalate and bring value to herbal medicine. We are already collaborating with some other sister agencies like NNMDA, Nigeria Natural Medicinal Products Development Agency.
That is all we have for you on this edition of the program. Another educative edition will come your way again next week. Meanwhile, if you have any information for NAFDAC that will aid its efforts to safeguard the health of Nigerians, please reach out to us.
You can reach NAFDAC via toll-free numbers. For inquiries, call 0700 162 3322. For complaints, call 0800 162 3322. You may also email NAFDAC at nafdac.gov.ng. If you have complaints about any form of misconduct, you can reach the Reforms Unit via email reforms@nafdac.gov.ng or call the Reforms hotlines on 0909 763 0506 or 0909 763 0507.
NAFDAC, customer focused, agency minded.
Do not be part of the criminal act of producing, importing, distributing, marketing, advertising, or selling of unwholesome food products, fake drugs, cosmetics, and medical equipment. These acts pose great danger to the health of Nigerians. Till we meet again next week, stay safe.